His day 1,309 Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. I'm going to be as close for Am Yisrael in our war against our enemies. Zichron. Today we're doing Yoredea Siman Reish Chav. No, Reish Nun Gimel. Sif Yud Aleph to Yud Zayin. Yud Aleph. Question about Rambam. Paraktes. Baal Bayis Shoyah Malach Miyam Ir. Baal Boss is going to the city. But Tumlo Mos Baderch. He ran out of funds on the way. Ve'enu Vatomar Yochai doesn't want to eat now. Raising Butali Kach Leket Shilchopel. He's militant to take Leket Shilchopel. Meiser Oni. Or Might No Sanim. The Lanos Minat Sokan to derive benefit from Staka. The Shagil basically when he reaches home. Ain't no Chayel Hashem. He doesn't have to reimburse Staka. Shay Oni was a shah. He was an Oni at that point in time. Hamamaz the dumb was analogous to. The Ani Shehez Shir Sheinu Chayv Hashem. It's like a poor person became rich and does not have to reimburse tzedakah afterwards. How come Hashem? Okay, Kosva Turva Shulchan Aruch Dal. The two Shulchan Aruch the same thing. If Mishnah pay, it's a Mishnah pay. Okay, Mishnah Dal. But Rambam is at time. Now explains the reason is Daimel Ani Shir Sheinu Chayv Hashem. It's like a poor person became rich doesn't have to reimburse tzedakah. But I've got shades of demon gomer. There's not a total comparison. Shehu Ha Yesh Lo Aton because now he has. Okay, but there. But since he was on the road, Muchach Atah. Since he's on the road, Muchach. Well, Yesh Lo Atah he has at home money when he's on the road. Okay, but since now he's on the road, Muchach Atah he's on the stock and he has to. It's compelled to be sustained with stock. But also, Kani at that time is like a poor person. I'm astonished, says Arukh HaShulchan. Rambam Perish of Shais writes that it's appropriate for Midas Chasidus for Lifnei Mishras Adin to pay, to reimburse tzedakah. For Lamla is because why does he mention this in the Mishnah Torah? Gan B'Yishami Mashmakein, and John B'Yishami seems also to indicate that it's appropriate to reimburse tzedakah. Gan B'Shash Shalon Chulin, and Chulin Daf Kuf Lamed, Mashal Edikain seems explicit that way, Aisha. Why should B'Churu Lo Kasav Rak Olafi Ekadin? Perhaps in his Mishnah Torah he only wrote the primary halacha. For Dai Yishno Shadavar. That Dover Pashut, it's obvious. Shimzah Baal Bayis over Makam B'Cholta Revos. If he has the capacity to borrow money, in this our case, we say he uses a credit card, right? She'asla Kabatzaka is not allowed to use tzedakah. Bracket says Chayrisim Shem Agrob Save Chutim Shulish Self Siman Yud Zayin. Well, Chutim Shulish is Chuvas of the Rosh Yeshiva of Voloshin. But in any event, so B'Zman Hazeh, this heter would be very, very imprevalent. Because most people have credit cards they can use. You base Kosar bin say about his children. See if hey Misha Pinas of Yosam, somebody who sustains an orphan, but a mitzvah, and might do a mitzvah. She did so, and when the orphan grew up, he sued him for what he spent on him. Potter, the orphan's potter. I feel like even if the orphan had money at the time that he was being supported. Unless the boss specified that he's doing it as a loan and not as an actual act of charity. But also is an orphan. But another person, I feel so we assume it, generically without any without necessarily being specified that he's doing it in the manner of a loan. Because he has property. End quote. That's what Shulchan Aruch. He made it clean if he was saying he had died. As long as a judgment caused by the Dayanim. What did this person do? For the purpose of getting recompensed. So there it says that it's clear that Yisomim who were sustained by a bus, and he paid from on his own cheshbon. They have to pay. I guess the more there are, the less likely it is to do it as a mitzvah. As opposed to one yasam, where bus took him, I guess so to speak, adopted him. And well, of course, if he adopted the kid, then we assume by definition that he means for the kid to be sustained from his funds at tzedakah. But it's more likely meant to do for the mitzvah. But another person, what it means by ish, I guess not a yosam. That's what the Shlomo says. Shem mitzvah. When clients say it's not for the purpose of mitzvah. Chen ba'abayis over makam l'makam. Therefore, ba'abas goes from place to place. The time costs, but his money is used up. V'echad nasal l'tzah. Yeah, that's the other person. Another person gave him his expenses. Yes, kol l'mar shem avah. So it's more likely that it was done for the purpose of the loan. Okay, nikra adom, unless it's clear. Shel shem chesed asah, that he did it for the purpose of chesed. The Rak says, "Ayin shach ve'in var mevorin kol kach v'duk." Okay, I'm not sure if it's not before, but he holds out the Arukh HaShulchan, not before, but he doesn't hold the Arukh HaShulchan. He has it made. Yurkimel. Time so Perek Beis Shalom says at the end of the second Perek Shalom, most aniyim, that which is left over from the funds for the poor is for the poor. Most aniyim that was left over funds of a specific poor person, most aniyim goes to that poor person. Most of the shvui that was left over from captives goes to captives. Most of that's the general fund. Most of the shavu that's left over from a specific captives redemption, most of the shavu goes to that captive. Most of the mason, they're left over for chesed shalem is for mason, for the general community is for the mason. Most of an individual mace is the yorshim to his heirs. Therefore they wrote, and ani for whom they collect in order to fulfill that which he is lacking. And they had left over that one over what they needed. The excess is his. They go collect for generically for poor people. And they left over. We should preserve it for other poor people. The excess of what's gathered for specific captive also goes to captive. They gather generically for captives. And there's left over. Keep it for other captives. So the leftover from an individual, that person is for his heirs. Most are masons for the collective. La mason, it's for other dead people. For Rabbeinu says custom. The says right seem raw. Apparently, she's talking shav rotu shana. So it should be other makal shana. Parasim say that there's a need. They have to change these orders around. They have the authority to do so. It's from the Rambam. It's from the Rambam. Also, the Yushalmi, we don't protest the people who are in charge for doing what they see fit. Quote, Kamar, meaning if they want to change it. You can't ask, although I would ask, how can you change from this ani's personal collection to something else? Is that somebody's not going to afford, willing to be meichel this? I'll say for acquires alamos, and he already acquired the funds. Yes, someone could say the bemis shouldn't dactic when we analyze this further. Why should any excess be that specific person? They gave it for his needs, not for excess. It's like a gift given under mistaken premises. Eldim goes at nevertheless. Came with Shanessa and Noshim Rabim says the collected from lots of people. Didn't have in mind to be so meticulous in the reckoning. And they give based on the assumption that the officials will do as they see fit. And the officials themselves, their intention but those generally that the excess should be for whom it was collected. Most of the bracha, but therefore they themselves see a need to give the excess to somebody else, some other purpose. Mutzer's mislan, they shall daitim nosig is given on their under their discretion. There's machlekes where they can change it only for bar mitzvah, but also for an actual activity. These virus simulation and that's going to be clarified later on. Back says that Moshe brings this machlekes. Yudav, Kasar Rabbi Yossi designed. Rabbi Yossi writes, Moshe gave the pidyon shavui money which was collected to redeem a captive who may come shifted was he died before he was redeemed. Yesh Shema, those who say Shem sure they belong to his heirs. Yesh Shema, those who say so Zachar ben Yosef, his heirs did not acquire them. Das Noita, and that would seem to be so he's inclined. Well, actually, it's not the Shulchan. No, it is Shulchan writing. Yeah, no, it's the Yosef writing. Still, the Yosef is writing this. That's Noita. This is inclined this opinion. This man is in our day and age. And we know that tell you, we reckon that people's thought if Shlois not will ask, they did not have in mind to give the money for the heirs of the person to acquire. Who I think Shanavada shall become shitted. The truth. This is also true when the captive is lost before he's redeemed. Like on the Shana. Kasser Rabbeinu Rabbi Yisrael. Rama writes to Rama Rabbeinu Rama. Rama writes to Adinim Nadar Echeli Yislema Lasio Mesa Sony pledged money to an orphaness to in order to marry off, and she died. Lo Zachel Many Ocean heirs do not acquire the whatever's there. Meal nevertheless cause when she chai as long as she's alive. Him shall some they do belong to her. But so let's say some yad. You have to give it to her immediately upon pledging. I'm seeing we don't wait till she gets married. I mean, Mesa, if she dies, most closing, the money will then be taken back. Some people argue okay, says Arukh HaShulchan Tes Vav, Birat Varim. What it means is the day Rishona, she dies to Rashba Chuvas. The first opinion is the opinion of Rashba is Chuvas. So Beres holds the Kmosha Moser Shaykh Liyashav, just like the excess it belongs to the heirs, Kmochen Komo, so to all the money. Kema that they go for Moses, and his for his benefit, they gather the money. The Zagab Shaskin acquires them from the time they collected. The second being Das Al Rosh B'Chuvas. That's in the Rosh Davkuk Shah Mitzvah say Shapir, only when the mitzvah is actually fulfilled with the bulk of the money. Shapir Shaycham Mosel Yoshel. Then the excess can be his and his heirs. Avakosha Dailo Skilu Mitzvah, as long as they haven't begun to do this mitzvah. Pshita, it's obvious that they did not give it for this purpose. You have to give back the money to whoever gave it. Knows, but this is impossible to do. If you pull out and it's going to cause a lot of expense to try and to do that procedure. They will use them for the needs of the masses. That's a Rush, and the Rush, his opinion, takes the day. Because Ramah writes back on somebody pledges money for an orphan, woman, or for a girl who Mason, she died, heirs not acquire. Klomar, meaning the Chaysan Muslim is not. Money goes back to the person who pledged them. Below Dami, the Nikveh may Rabbi come over. It's not when it's like it's collected for many people, it's hard to get back, like we just said. Below Chashab Basay Lebarazeh, we're not concerned to make explicit difference between many donors and a single donor. The Medina Rishon Osim Tzarchei Rabim. No, I'm sorry. That they didn't feel necessary to explain that in the first case you do use the money for needs of the masses. Medina Sheni, and the second case goes to the bottom, goes back to the original donor. The man move on, so it's understood that that's between many donors and a single donor. On them, however, when she's alive, Nesla Miyat, we give it immediately. Some people argue. It says simulation Gimel Sif Tezayin Pasak the no stimula Kodem Shetina say. You give it to her before she gets married, not immediately. Yoshua son of heirs inherit her. Ben Ramah Lopa Saken Ramah does not pass away. And Shamsi we wrote there. The Ikadiv Rabbein Ramah Shlomiad, the primary level is like the Ramah, you give her immediately. Because then nevertheless a Mesa, if she dies, Kozer Yoshav, the Yoshav goes back to the donor's heirs, not to her heirs. He says here in the brackets, Ramah, this is all the Ramah who Gam Rashba, so that's going to be true according to the Rashba. Low down in the Rabbim, it's obviously not like where you there are multiple donors for Duke. Tesai, Koslu Rambam, Batur, Shulchan Sivches. They all wrote, Ani Shanasan Prutal and Tzedakah, a poor person who gave money to Tzedakah. Kam Menet, we accept from him. Imlona San, if he doesn't give, Emechayim, and also we don't require him to give. Nasla Begani Chadashim, if they gave him new clothing, because they're showing and he returns the old ones. Kam Menet, we accept them. If he doesn't return them, Emechayim, so we don't compel him to give back. Vito said to the pair, so that's definitely pair dollar. Those who explain Hachibus just means to say the Afag, though only highly did tzedakah. Any poor person has to give money for tzedakah. Much cost of Simon Reish Memches, like it says in Simon Reish Memches. We don't compel him to give. Give it to another poor person. But also the other poor person will reciprocate by giving back to him. Much cost of Simon Reish Memches. That's the Bach. But he said, Arukh HaShulchan is astonishing. He came, that's Pasha. What do you mean we accept him? He has to give. What's the Kiddush? And then there's the Shach's question. Yesh Perish, those who say the Shach himself says, the Ma'ir Ba'ani Shelo Paranosa, so it's like Ba'ani who doesn't have enough to sustain himself. So in Reish Ma'alav, in Reish Ches, the Ma'ir B'Yeshel Paranosa, it's about where he does have enough to sustain himself. There should cause a Reish Ches. And this all has to do with the beginning of Sim Rish Merches. V'kvar b'yarnu Shlomo explained there's the two matters. The body shlishi says shekel b'chol shana. The third of a shekel every year, no matter how poor you are, you have to give. The Kam Meir, it's about Shazek Kvar no Sanze. This already gave a shlishi says shekel. Flom even said, so I don't know about that. Therefore, he has to give more. But he said, I might say the Gam should know things that Sokli Agaba should kabli men. Might say the Gaba should accept it from him. Came Shlani because he's impoverished. Kayotzi the Chobasa with shlishi shekel. Where he was Yoitzi with his third of shekel. So Kamasha never comes tell us, come Kali men. Nevertheless, we accept it from him. And so too, if he gives back his old clothing, we accept it from him. But Afa Kapish ain't Sorach, even though he doesn't have to give it back. Because not required to give it back. We accept it. Yuzayin, only she'eno rotza kabet tzedakah. A poor person does not want to accept tzedakah. We know he needs the tzedakah. We have to make every effort to make sure he receives it. If nevertheless he doesn't want to accept, we have to trick him into taking the money. We give it to him as a gift and not tzedakah. If he doesn't want that either, we give him as a loan. Then we never demand the loan back. It seems to him he makes every effort to pay back, and he doesn't have the capacity to pay back. And we should not accept it for him. I will have it, but the opposite. Asher Kili, a miserly rich person, whose eyes are narrow at his own money. Only famishes himself. Doesn't eat. Who cares? We don't pay attention. Let him follow his foolishness. Or if he's dying of hunger, he's sick of kind of hunger. So we give him to eat. But it doesn't matter about korcho. But then we take back, then we can make him pay back. We compel him to pay back for our expenses. I think that's it for today.